how about secure, avoidant or anxious? According to research, the quality of your romantic relationships will depend on which of those categories that you fall into, and all of that is determined by the way that we were treated by our parents in childhood. So which one are you? I can feel everyone just getting very slightly nervous now. Hope London's an artist in Kilmarnock. Morning, Hope.
Oh, hello. Hi.
Good morning.
Actually down in Galloway today.
Oh, you're in Galloway today.
Yeah.
How lovely. And Jay Crawford, writer and broadcaster, no idea where he is. Good morning, Jay.
I'm in Edinburgh, Kate.
You're in
Good morning.
Edinburgh. How are you?
I'm very well. I've got a classic by my granny, which I'll save for later, by the way.
Oh, no, give us it now. Go on, give us it now.
Well, if somebody broke wind, she used to say, sniff wheel and help away with it.
I've never heard that before. What is that? What's sniff?
Sniff wheel and help away with it.
That is an original, Jay. I have never heard that one before. Thank you for that. And probably wondering what on earth she's got herself into is Cate McKenzie, psychosexual therapist. Good morning, Cate.
Good morning, Kaye. Thank you very much.
Good morning. So let's get back to what we are talking about, though I do love a granny saying 80295. Of these categories of secure, avoidant or anxious. Hope and Jay, just stay there just now, because I want you to listen to Cate till we get into it a little bit more, and then you can declare yourselves if you know which category that you are in. So Cate, is this kind of recognised stuff? Is it these three categories, secure, avoidant or anxious?
If you're on for attachment theory, yes, it is. John Bowlby discovered in children these categories. He was brought up, went to boarding school and didn't meet his parents till after dinner when he was 12, and he went and studied children and discovered that without love, children fail or die. And then this has been transferred to adults, that how we grew up affects how we relate to other people. So if you micromanaged and had too much attention, you might want to have more distance. And if you didn't get enough attention, you might want to be closer and might want to reach more. Or if you had just enough, just like Goldilocks, you might feel secure and feel okay with people.
Okay.
More okay.
So secure, I mean, it's fairly obvious, but how would you describe that category then? If you are secure in a relationship, what does that feel like or look like?
I suppose if you're secure, you are more relaxed. You probably naturally expect to be loved and to give love, and you feel quite happy going and doing your own life and secure in your job and knowing if you're in a partnership that your partner will be there. So I suppose there's a kind of natural flow for you in life and not worrying so much around relationships, and either avoiding or running towards.
Okay, and anxious in what way?
So anxiously attached, often they're people, they didn't get enough growing up. They didn't get enough attention. They didn't get the feeling of feeling secure. Perhaps they had too much responsibility from very young. Perhaps they had to take on too much. And often they're very high achievers in life because they started very early, and they may be reaching. Where are they? Where's my text? Where's my answer? Where's my phone call? What's going on? Do you love me? What's happening?
So are they a bit needy in a relationship?
Very needy, very controlling, very demanding, very judgy. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And avoidant?
Avoidant, you get different types. You can get different types of all these types, but avoidant, you can get a disorganized avoidant who may actually keep a lot of distance, but they feel they really need people, so they'll give mixed messages. I really want you, but I'm not going to answer your call. I'm going to be late. I'm going to avoid you, but I want you. And then you also get a very detached avoidant who may feel superior. I don't need anyone. I'm happy on my own, and it's all fine by me. So you get mixtures of avoidance, and the pattern is different ways of avoiding relationships.
So what kind of childhood relationship with their parents would that one have been? I'm all right. I'm fine.
So at some level, relationships felt difficult or threatening. So it could be like a very concerned parent or caregiver who was, and the person was micromanaged or shamed or guilted, or it could be the parents just weren't there and they got used to being on their own and they just decided that's the way to be. So there's different mixtures of what can happen to people and why they decide, right, that feels safe. Anything else feels really vulnerable. I suppose you could say with a secure attached person, they could be possibly more okay with being vulnerable, having needs, having wants, and saying what they are. And the anxiously attached and the avoidantly attached are people who may find it frightening to say their vulnerable wants and needs.
Yeah. I mean, apart from anything else, I'm just thinking all the parents listening will probably be thinking, oh my goodness, how am I relating to my child? Am I going to shape their future relationships? But let's come to Hope and Jay. All right, it's time to lay yourself bare, guys. Would you like to declare yourself, Hope?
I have to declare myself as having experienced all three of those categories at different points in my life.
Oh.
And it's and I can't say it's fixed now. I've had a very long life so far and been through a number of close relationships. I'm very pleased to say at this point in my life, I feel very secure and happy to be who I am with someone with whom I can be vulnerable, and we're celebrating 12 years together very soon.
Wonderful.
Which is brilliant, but it wasn't always like that at all. And I think some of it, I will tell you a personal thing. My mother got polio when I was 3, and I lost her in a sense. She's still alive. She's in her 50s, God bless. But I went to live with my grandmother. It really altered the course of my life. I don't know how it affected me, but I'm sure it had a huge effect. And there was certainly a time in my life when I have felt anxious about how a relationship was going and whether the person cared or didn't care. But there were other times, and these were very difficult, when I pushed people away. Because I was afraid they were taking me over, and that was very, very hard. And then I'll say one more thing about it that has to do slightly off piste here with gender roles and having felt like people couldn't accept me for who I was because I probably didn't fit into the traditional female role and didn't want to be at all subservient. And you have to take it in context. I was born in the 1950s and raised with all of that. So that played an enormous part.
And your sort of parenting, I know it wasn't necessarily your mum all the times, but weren't kind of encouraging you to be different. Were they encouraging you to conform?
Oh God, yes. Yes. I was seriously constrained when, I used to walk around the neighborhood I had really short hair as a child, and I'd walk around barefoot and shirtless in summertime, and everyone thought I was a boy. That didn't go down well. Yeah. And made to wear, the frilly stuff and be encouraged to do all those things that didn't
natural. Sit right with you, yeah.
Nope.
Yeah. What about you, Jay? Do you recognise yourself?
I think what's just been said actually, and what Kate was saying is interesting because Emma Watson's in the news today, the actress that played Hermione in the Harry Potter series, describing herself
self-partnered
rather than single, and I thought that was quite an interesting comment, wasn't it? But no, from my point of view, I think what had more of a bearing on my relationships and my sense of it was that because I was, and I've always hated the expression only child, but because I didn't have any siblings and my parents used to encourage me to go and talk to people and go and play with other kids, because if we went somewhere and there were other children that were playing together, my mother particularly would sort of usher me over and say, go and talk to them. So I never really had a problem because of that with meeting people and talking to people and and making friends with people, because I felt I had to, because I didn't have any other siblings around me to play with, So if we went off somewhere for a weekend or whatever, I would either be on my own or I would have to make the first move. And that was generally, the story of my relationships, usually making the first move and being fairly confident about it. And so, no, I think I would describe myself as secure. Certainly, I feel very secure in my relationship with my wife, and we've been together now 25, 26 years. So, that's on. And looking at my children, I was thinking about this before I came on today, and all my children, my 5 kids, are all in relationships and all either married or living with their partners. So I must have done something right there.
well, yes, absolutely. But, I mean, Kate, coming back to just a few things just in the conversations there. I mean, interesting that Hope said that she feels that she has been all of those things. So from her experience, it wouldn't seem that it's something that is set and unable to change.
I agree. Yeah, I agree, definitely. I mean, the journey, there's a wonderful sex therapist called Dr. David Schnarch, and he believes that relationships grow us. If we have the privilege of being in close relationships, they actually grow us. So where we can grow, partners will bring up all these difficult things from childhood, but that we have the potential to grow ourselves. And I love the self-partner thing, that we can self-partner ourselves, but that actually people that come into our lives can trigger us. And if we choose to, we can grow through that. So we can become less avoidant, or we can become less clingy and really attend to our needs, attend to who we are, and in some ways look at relationships as a meditation, as a growth practice, where we can learn, what our pains were from the past. They say if it's hysterical, it's historical. In the sense, if it's really shaking you up, then something needs to be attended to from the past and healed.
I mean, when we first started to speak, you said, well, this is attachment theory if you subscribe to it. Do you subscribe to it?
I really love it. But there's different, and people use different markers. They use attachment theory, and some people use differentiation theory, and some people use a mixture of the two. And what they are is, attachment theory is looking at the idea, did you get what you needed from your caregivers, and can you get those needs met, maybe in a relationship now, which is, I really love that too. Differentiation theory is the idea that some of these difficult experiences grew us. So sometimes, because somebody had that difficult experience, they actually grew their self-reliance and their how to be vulnerable and how to differentiate themselves, how to get balanced as a person. And so you can kind of use both theories, if that makes sense. So it's not just all one or the other, but what do you need as an individual to grow you? Does that make it? So some hard experiences have helped people become resilient. That's the idea.
Yeah. Hope, would you say that applies? Sorry, apologies, Kate, but would you say that applies to you, Hope?
Definitely. Yes. I mean, listening to this, I'm forced to think back on the timeline of my life and thinking of various very difficult times. I think the more resilient I have become when I was on my own, and there were many times in my life when I was on my own. I may have been seeing people casually, but basically self-reliant in all ways, have strengthened me and prepared me to become who I am now. It's all a process of growth and risk and change.
And Jay, the little boy that your mum always encouraged to go and talk to someone, became a broadcaster.
Well, yeah, and
there you go.
I've often thought about that and credited my mother for giving me that confidence. But interesting, again, what Kate's just been saying, because many, many years ago, when I was much younger, I was in a very toxic relationship, a very destructive relationship, and I may have felt secure at that point, just in my life generally, but my partner obviously didn't. And now thinking about it and what's just been said, she'd come from a very, very difficult relationship with her parents, particularly with her father. And I won't go into all the details of that, but that caused infinite amount of problems in the relationship that we had at that time. And, from what I know, that those issues have continued for her throughout her life. So that, that actually explains a lot and gives me quite a bit of a sense of clarity about that, really.
Yeah.
Looking back on it now.
I think as parents, lots of us now will be thinking, oh gosh, what are we doing? What impact are we having? Thank you very much, all of you, for being so honest. And thanks very much, Kate McKenzie, for explaining that to us. Very interesting stuff. Kate McKenzie, psychosexual therapist, Jay Crawford and Hope London. You gave us a great granny saying to start us off, Jay, so we've got another couple in.